The Galactic Empire laughed when Earth sent its finest. Not polite laughter. Not diplomatic amusement. This was the kind of laughter that echoed through amphitheater-sized council chambers, translated into 1,000 alien languages, dripping with contempt. The Empire had crushed 100 civilizations older than humanity's written history. They ruled with plasma fleets, gene-bred shock legions, and doctrines refined over millennia. Earth, by comparison, was a noisy upstart with barely unified politics and weapons that still relied on chemical propellants. So, sneered High Strategos Vector of the Keln Dominion, mandibles flexing in mirth. The humans send special forces. The word tasted strange in his mouth. The hollow display showed 8 figures disembarking from a shuttle onto the dust-choked moon of Karthy's 9. No power armor. No energy shields. No visible heavy weapons. Just matte black uniforms, helmets featureless, movements economical and calm. The Empire's observers took notes. Then they mocked. 8? One admiral clicked. They expect sabotage with 8. Another chimed in. Perhaps it is a ritual suicide, Vector concluded. Laughter rippled again. Karthy's 9 had once been a mining colony. Now it was an Imperial garrison world, its population pacified after a brief, ugly resistance. The humans knew this. Earth's diplomats had begged for negotiations after the colony of New Bristol was glassed from orbit, 3 million dead in a single afternoon because a local governor had refused Imperial taxation. The Empire had responded with a broadcast of the bombardment, edited with triumphant music. That was when Earth stopped begging. The Empire expected fleets, speeches, threats. Instead, Earth sent 8 soldiers and a message so short it was dismissed as a translation error. Observe. The Kelm commanders leaned back as the humans advanced toward the garrison perimeter. Automated turrets tracked them. Rangefinders locked. A junior officer frowned. High Strategos, they are not firing. Why would they? Vector said. They are dead. The first explosion did not come from the humans. A fuel depot detonated inside the garrison, a silent white flash blooming into fire. The blast punched through armor plating rated to withstand orbital strikes. Shockwaves flattened barracks. Before the alarms could even finish screaming, a second explosion followed, then a third, walking across the base with surgical precision. Imperial officers shouted orders. Drones launched. Targeting systems swung wildly. On the hollow, one of the human figures raised a hand, 2 fingers up, then a closed fist. And the night turned lethal. The humans moved like ghosts with a deadline. They flowed through fire and smoke, weapons barking in short, disciplined bursts. Every shot killed. Not wounded. Killed. Imperial soldiers, towering, chitin-plated veterans bred for war, dropped mid-stride, armor penetrated at weak points no one outside the Empire was supposed to know. Impossible, an analyst whispered. They are using ballistics. Those weapons are obsolete. Vector snarled. Why are my men dying? Because the humans had studied. Years before first contact, Earth had learned a hard lesson: never fight fair. Never fight clean. And never assume your enemy's technology made them smarter. The SAS team, Special Air Service, a name the Empire had not bothered to research, had memorized Imperial patrol routes, biometric rhythms, even the psychological profiles of officers. They didn't hack systems. They anticipated them. They didn't overwhelm defenses. They stepped through gaps no algorithm could predict. One human vaulted a barricade, slid under a plasma bolt, and put 3 rounds into an Imperial lieutenant's throat seal before the alien could finish screaming. Another slapped a charge onto a command bunker door, leaned in close, and muttered, "Knock, knock." The bunker vanished. In the council chamber, the laughter had died. Vector stood now, claws digging into the stone dais. Deploy the shock legion. Now. Too late. The humans reached the central command spire in under 9 minutes. That alone should have been impossible. Imperial doctrine assumed no enemy could cross open ground under overlapping turret fire. But the turrets were silent, jammed, sabotaged, or simply destroyed by explosives placed hours earlier by drones no one had detected. Inside the spire, an Imperial colonel drew his plasma sidearm as a human stepped through the smoke. "You are surrounded," the colonel hissed. "Surrender." The human tilted his head. His voice came through the translator, calm, almost bored. "Funny thing about that. We don't surrender." The colonel never finished pulling the trigger. Moments later, the Spire broadcast went live, hijacked, raw, unfiltered. Every Imperial world saw it. Every subject species. Every council member. A human stood before the camera, helmet off. Older than expected. Scarred. Eyes cold and tired. "My name doesn't matter," he said. "But what I represent does." Behind him, Imperial officers knelt, disarmed, bleeding, very much alive. "You mocked us," the human continued. "You bombed civilians to make a point. You thought our restraint was weakness." He leaned closer to the camera. "This was 8 men. No fleet. No orbital support. Just us on your ground." A pause. A thin, humorless smile. "Now imagine what happens when we stop being polite." The feed cut. Silence gripped the council chamber. Vector felt something he had not felt in 400 years of conquest. Fear. Because deep in his tactical mind, a realization formed, slow, horrifying, undeniable. If this was a demonstration, then the real war hadn't even started yet. The Galactic Empire did what it always did when frightened. It doubled down. Within hours of the Karthy's 9 broadcast, Imperial censors scrubbed the footage from public channels, replacing it with a carefully edited narrative, a terrorist incident, a statistical anomaly, a minor security breach. The 8 humans were officially declared dead, neutralized by heroic garrison forces, and the Empire assured its subject worlds that order had been restored. Inside the war councils, no one believed it. The damage reports were catastrophic. Karthy's 9's command structure was decapitated. Encryption keys were compromised. Entire logistical routes vanished from the Imperial network as if swallowed by a black hole. Worse, something had been left behind, a virus so subtle it didn't attack systems directly. It waited. It listened. It learned. "Human malware behaves like a predator," one analyst whispered, voice shaking. "It hides until the moment of maximum pain." High Strategos Vector slammed his claws into the table. "Enough. We will remind Earth of its place. Prepare a punitive expedition. Burn one of their worlds." The Admiral hesitated. "Which one?" Vector's mandibles curled. "One they love." New Bristol's sister colony, HFY, was chosen for its symbolism. A temperate world. Agricultural. Minimal defenses. The Empire's fleets emerged from hyperspace like gods descending to pass judgment. What they found waiting for them was wrong. No orbital defenses fired. No emergency transmissions flooded the void. Havenfall's cities lay quiet, lights dimmed, traffic minimal. Scans showed no fleet presence, no missile platforms, no energy shields. The Admiral exhaled in relief. "They have learned fear." That was when the first ship vanished. Not exploded. Not disabled. Vanished. One moment it was there, a heavy cruiser bristling with cannons. The next, it simply wasn't. Sensors screamed conflicting data. Gravity ripples twisted space like a clenched fist. "What in the void was that?" the Admiral barked. Before anyone could answer, a human transmission cut through Imperial command frequencies, uninvited, untraceable. An older male voice. Calm. British. "Evening, gentlemen. Bit crowded up there, isn't it?" The bridge froze. "We noticed you like orbitals." The voice continued. "Big ships. Lots of confidence. Makes you predictable." The stars moved. Havenfall's moon shifted orbit, artificially. Engines ignited from its dark side, ancient and crude and terrifyingly powerful. The moon wasn't a moon at all. It was a mass driver platform, a relic from humanity's Cold War days, repurposed, buried, forgotten by everyone except the men who planned for worst-case scenarios. The Empire had never considered a species insane enough to weaponize celestial bodies. Fire! The human voice said conversationally. The moon kicked. Gravitic slugs, asteroid cores wrapped in magnetic fields, launched at relativistic speeds. Imperial shields flared, collapsed, and died. Ships shattered like glass sculptures. Fleet cohesion dissolved in seconds. Panic erupted. "Retreat!" the admiral screamed. "Negative," the human replied. "We're not finished." Dropships burst from Havenfall's atmosphere, not sleek or elegant, but brutal and functional. They slammed into Imperial hulls, docking forcibly. Airlocks blew. And the SAS walked in. Up close, the Empire learned a second lesson. Human soldiers didn't shout battle cries. They joked. "Door's a bit stiff," one muttered, planting a charge. "Tap it harder," another replied. The door ceased to exist. Imperial shock troops charged them in narrow corridors, plasma rifles blazing. The humans advanced into the fire, using angles, reflections, debris. They fought like men who had accepted death long ago and found it disappointing. One Imperial captain cornered a human sergeant, towering over him, claws dripping with blood. "You cannot win a war of empires with tricks," the captain roared. The sergeant looked up, bleeding, grinning. "Who said this was a war?" He triggered the detonator. Across the fleet, similar moments unfolded. Command bridges erased. Reactors sabotaged. Captains captured alive and forced to watch as their own ships became tombs. On Earth, the footage leaked. Not through official channels. Through pirate relays, black markets, whispered exchanges between oppressed species. The Empire's myth of invincibility cracked. Rebellion sparked. Old grudges flared. And always the same symbol appeared, spray-painted on walls, etched into armor, broadcast briefly before sensors could react. A simple human phrase. "Who dares wins." Back in the Imperial capital, Vectar stared at the reports, mandibles trembling. "These are not soldiers," he hissed. "They are assassins. Terrorists." A junior diplomat spoke, voice small. "Hi, Strategos. Earth has issued another message." Vectar straightened. "Read it." The diplomat swallowed. "You wanted an example." That was a warning. Coordinates followed. Deep space. Uninhabited. Or so the Empire believed. Vectar felt the cold certainty settle in his core. Humanity wasn't defending itself anymore. It was hunting. And somewhere in the dark, the SAS was already ahead of him, setting the trap. The coordinates led to a dead system. No habitable worlds. No valuable resources. Just a red dwarf star and the skeletal remains of a long-abandoned Imperial shipyard, one of the first ever built during the Empire's rise. Ancient. Obsolete. Forgotten. That alone should have made Vectar suspicious. But pride is a heavy thing. It bends logic. It drags even the wisest into traps they can see but refuse to acknowledge. "This is a provocation," Vectar told the Council. "The humans want us to hesitate. We will not." A full war convergence fleet was dispatched, 3 armadas, hundreds of capital ships, enough firepower to sterilize a dozen systems. The Empire would end this humiliation in a single, overwhelming strike. They emerged from hyperspace to silence. No human fleet. No defenses. Just drifting metal, old docks, cracked hulls, frozen debris. "Scans?" Vectar demanded. "Nothing active," an admiral replied. "Radiation levels within tolerance. It's empty." That was when the shipyard woke up. Lights flared across kilometers of scaffolding. Reactors spun up, human-built reactors, welded onto Imperial skeletons. The debris shifted, locking into formations with ugly, functional precision. The Empire had left behind bones. Humanity had learned how to wear them. Thousands of automated gun platforms unfolded from what had once been scrap. Missile racks slid into place. Kinetic cannons, primitive, unstoppable, aligned with the converging fleets. Human voice on all channels, the comm officer said, voice hollow. The same older British accent returned, tired but amused. Hi Strategos Vector. Appreciate you coming all this way. Bit of history lesson for you. The guns did not fire. Instead, the human continued. You built this place when your empire was young. Back when you still made mistakes. We found the records. You see, your early designs assumed no one would ever turn your infrastructure against you. Vector snarled. You think scrap and automation will stop us? No, the voice replied. I think you will. The first betrayal came from within. Imperial ships began to drift, engines refusing commands, power bleeding away. Crews shouted as control systems locked them out. The virus from Karthy's 9 had been patient. It had mapped the Empire's entire logistical doctrine, waiting for maximum fleet density. Now it struck. Engineering reports cascading failures. Navigation is frozen. We can't fire. Targeting loops are corrupted. The Empire's greatest strength, total networked command, became a noose. Human guns opened fire. Kinetics tore through hulls at obscene speeds. Shields designed for energy dispersion failed catastrophically against solid mass. Capital ships cracked open, venting atmosphere and screaming crews into space. Then the humans boarded. Not in hundreds. Not in waves. In dozens. SAS teams launched from stealth pods hidden inside the shipyard itself, coffins with engines. They slammed into disabled Imperial flagships with surgical violence. On Vector's bridge, alarms screamed as the lights died. Boarders! Someone shrieked. The doors exploded inward. The humans came through smoke and sparks, faces hidden, movements economical. One kicked Vector's chief guard in the knee, shattered it, and finished him with a single shot to the head. Another swept the bridge with controlled bursts, dropping officers mid-command. Vector backed away, mandibles clacking in panic. You are animals! He spat. You have no honor! A human operator, older, gray at the temples beneath his helmet, looked at him almost kindly. We do, he said. It's just not yours. They didn't kill Vector. They restrained him, efficient and cold. As they dragged him away, he saw the scope of the disaster unfold on auxiliary screens. Armadas burning, command nodes collapsing, the Empire's fleets turning into debris fields. Why? Vector demanded, voice breaking. Why go to such lengths? The human paused. Because you didn't just attack us, he said. You tried to teach the galaxy a lesson using our dead. The helmet tilted. So we're correcting the curriculum. They took Vector to a chamber deep within the refitted shipyard. A single table. A chair. Cameras, alien and human, already broadcasting. Across the galaxy, oppressed worlds watched as the once untouchable High Strategos was forced to sit. The human spokesperson appeared on screen, helmet off. The same scarred face from Karthy's 9. This isn't an execution, he said. It's accountability. Vector's mandibles trembled. What do you want? He whispered. The human leaned forward. We want you to live, he said. And remember. The feed cut as explosions rippled through space outside. The Empire was not destroyed that day. But it was broken. And the galaxy had learned the truth. Humanity didn't conquer. It ended empires. The galaxy held its breath. For the first time in 400 years, the Imperial fleet did not roar. It smoldered. It drifted. The proud vessels of the High Strategos were wreckage, their once feared crews either dead, captured, or fleeing in pods toward unknown systems. The Empire's subjects whispered in disbelief. For the first time, the myth of invincibility was shattered by 8 human soldiers, and the countless others they commanded from the shadows. On the deck of the refitted shipyard, the SAS team gathered around the restrained Vector. The human spokesperson, scarred, gray, and tired beyond his years, spoke with deliberate clarity. You wanted to teach lessons, he said. You used civilians. You counted bodies as statistics. You thought war was an entitlement, Vector hissed, claws gripping the armrests. You are monsters! You could destroy worlds, why stop? The humans smiled, not a friendly smile, but one that chilled the soul. Because we're not savages. We're humans. And humans, we decide when the lesson is over. The irony was brutal. The Empire, with its fleets and legions, had underestimated humans' restraint as weakness. It had been a fatal mistake. But restraint wasn't weakness, it was patience, calculation, and the terrifying promise of what humanity could do if cornered. The galaxy watched as the humans broadcast their final message. No threats, no boastful declarations. Just a simple, deadly truth. The galaxy owes us respect. Not for our weapons, but for our consequences. Vector, humiliated and broken, was returned to the Imperial Council chambers as a warning. Not executed. Not tortured yet. His presence alone became a symbol, a living testament to human cunning. Wherever he went, whispers followed, the humans were coming. Not as diplomats. Not as conquerors. As predators who measured every action, every error, every weakness, and struck with precision. Meanwhile, the SAS returned to Earth orbit. Their mission complete, they did not celebrate. War had not ended, merely shifted. Humanity had proved its point, yes, but it had glimpsed the darkness it could wield. And in that reflection, some wondered, if pushed further, would they stop at teaching lessons, or would they cross the line into becoming the very monsters they had just outwitted? On Earth, leaders debated quietly, away from cameras. The victory was intoxicating, but the price of overconfidence, the temptation to assert dominance across the stars, loomed large. Yet there was no fear. Only respect. For Earth had reminded the universe, never underestimate humans. Never assume civility is weakness. Never think 8 soldiers cannot change the course of history. And in the dark expanse of space, the SAS prepared for what was coming next. The Galactic Empire was wounded, humiliated, desperate, and more dangerous than ever. Humanity had won battles, but the war had just begun. Still, one truth remained immutable. The Empire had mocked Earth's special forces. And the SAS had answered. Who dares wins. The galaxy would remember that. Always.